Welcome back to Infinite Volume, the podcast where we talk about anime and manga and video games sometimes, and also real life, because that happens. I am your host for today's episode, Logan, and I'm joined by Jayden
What's up,
and
guys?
Nate.
Hello.
Jayden, what have you been doing this past week?
So, I was on spring break this week. Sally didn't go anywhere. So,
That's okay.
still worked. I did do some reading. I read A Silent Voice, so
Yep, the book club.
Yep.
Shout out.
I'm pretty sure it's due
Indeed.
next week, so gotta lock in and finish it up. And
I think it is, right?
Yes.
I watched a little bit more One Piece, a couple more episodes.
Okay.
And then the anime I talked about the last episode, I think I talked about it. Mix. The baseball anime.
Oh yeah.
Remember
I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
What
yeah.
you're saying?
I don't remember if I talked about that in the episode or if I talked about that.
I don't remember if you talked
Pretty sure
about
it
it
was
in Monster or the prior episode, but you did talk about
But
it.
yeah, so I've watched a couple more episodes of that. And talking about
Nice.
days
Hey.
halfway through,
Nice.
so almost all caught up.
That's a pretty good spring break, I'd say. Nate, what about you?
I've begun the video editing process for these podcast episodes. Prior I was just doing the audio editing, and now I am going through and adding all the visual elements. It's taking a lot of my time. But you know, I love you guys, so I'm willing to put in the work. I've set up a Blue Sky account recently. My first personal social media account ever, I think.
Nah, didn't you have an Instagram back in the day?
I mean, yeah, but like everyone in middle school had a fucking Instagram.
That's true.
This
They
is like
did.
my first actual like. This is for me and what I do, even outside of Lancers. I feel like
So-
I've done so many different like Facebook, not so many. I have
Yeah.
so many other accounts that are just as
Yeah,
the group
like-
as a whole.
Your Facebook is mainly like promoting Lancers stuff.
Exactly, yeah. It's for
Noticed.
promoting Lancers and the work in Lancers. But
is-
this Blue Sky account is my first.
What is Blue Sky?
It's like a competitor to Twitter, or X. My bad.
Well, it's made by the old CEO, like Jack.
I actually didn't know that.
Didn't he? I think so. Maybe I could be wrong. I thought that was
It's
the
cool.
case,
I
but-
like it. I don't know because it's like I'm still in my like honeymoon phase with it. I've only had it for like less than a week now, maybe 4 or 5
Hmm.
days. But I haven't seen any bots. Everyone that has followed me back are people that I personally have followed and like respect the work of. And the algorithm for the things that are in my discovery queue have been pretty solid on like showing me art related stuff or stuff from people I follow and stuff like that. So I'm having a good time with it. It's actually like been the first positive social media experience I think I've ever had.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I've had many social media accounts either, besides, like I said, the Instagram account in middle school where I would post my Minecraft Pocket Edition castle builds.
Yeah. As you
And
do.
shout out that old video of you getting jump scared by that
It's
the app on the iPad.
it's on the internet somewhere, I'm sure.
Insert
Oh,
the
I've
clip right
I've
here.
rewatched it recently.
That's
Brian
incredible.
actually pulled up my old Instagram, and because I hadn't deactivate the account, I just deleted the app, and we watched it. It was a good time. Very funny.
We should
Oh.
insert the clip. No.
I don't think Nate would want that to be inserted.
Yeah, no. I if I find it, I'll consider
Just recreate it.
it. Recreate it. To wrap up the Blue Sky thing real quick, I'll put a link to it in the bottom of the episode description. I'm sure it'll be linked on the YouTube anyways, but I'll be posting, like I said, this is a personal account, so like this is my way of being able to reach out to other creators and like, promote stuff outside of Lancers. Maybe I'll be showing like stuff I would normally say for the Patreon on Blue Sky, like storyboards and stuff like that. So I might even I was already considering today like making a post about the video editing process. So expect behind the scenes stuff.
Nice. Shout out Blue Sky.
Yep. I've got one more thing too, but
Oh, okay, go ahead.
tomorrow, the day after recording, is the launch of Chapter 15 of DU. So,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm clapping, but my mic is
It
probably
probably-
gonna
yeah.
cut it out.
I
Censor
heard
some
nothing.
clapping noise.
I heard crickets, actually. I was fucked up. I just have to do... I got all the clip files from Hakur. I just got a... That's absurd. That's not going to pick up on anything.
No, it's not.
That's
So,
no
for
one,
context, I
someone-
just played Golf Clap soundboard on Discord.
I just have to go in and edit the text and move around some speech bubbles and just do a final pass through on the chapter, and then it can go live. So, go read
Nice.
Dragon Universe if you don't already, even though I said I wasn't going to promote anything from my work on this podcast. But I put a lot of work into this chapter. This might be one of our best chapters. It's not my personal favorite, but I think in terms of quality, this is the peak so far.
I like the cover art for this.
Oh yeah, the
chapter.
cover art goes
Indeed.
crazy. Jay,
Has
I'll
my
put it
favorite
in.
character on
Yeah, I
it.
have not seen it yet, so.
Yeah, I'll put it in the podcast content while Logue talks about what he's
This
been
week.
up to.
My week. Yeah, so this week I spent a lot more time on the volleyball side of YouTube because Nate was streaming POV volleyball matches in Discord last
I'm
week.
so
and
ready to get into volleyball, dude. It's
That's
not even
all
fun.
I got in my recommended after watching one alongside him, and I don't regret it at all because I love watching volleyball regardless of whether it's the anime version, aka the H word, and
Sick.
not hentai, haiku.
Yeah, you were gonna have to explain that, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Haiku is the H word because we're like limiting how much we can talk about that since it's just
It's
it consumes
unavoidable.
half of
this
my brain
episode.
space. Yeah, so we're gonna have to talk about it later, but we will be referring to it as Haiku later on. But
Can I-
my week. Oh, go
I
ahead.
was gonna add on to that. I've started watching Bryson. For anyone that's interested in golf, Bryson DeChambeau, I think is how you pronounce his name. I think he's a professional golfer, and he has a YouTube channel. So I've been watching some of his. He goes around trying to break course records. So it's been pretty cool.
Okay.
Cool.
I
It's like Eric
almost.
Shoji.
Oh yeah, for volleyball.
Yeah.
I was almost diabolical to Jay there when he mentioned golf, but I
I
stayed
was holding
tight-lipped.
in my lap. I was like, "This guy, bro, he
I
really
did-
came out of
I
the
did
woodworks
hit
and
the-
said, if anyone is interested in golf."
I hit the wrong eyebrow on that one for sure.
So yeah, where was I? Volleyball. I've been watching a lot of volleyball YouTube videos, both POV and stationary camera, court cam, but super hype for actually being able to practice with somebody in person pretty soon, hopefully.
Yep.
Not coping, but that's been my week. I read 6 volumes out of the 7 for Silent Voice because I couldn't put it down.
Yeah,
and
you're deep in
I
the
plan
weeds on that.
I plan on finishing the last volume tomorrow, but it is so. I don't want to say it's better than the movie, but I think that the movie left out a couple of pretty emotionally hard-hitting scenes, and for good reason, because I think they tried to keep it kind of PG-13-ish with the whole, suicide tropes, but there's a crazy panel in there that really got me, and I wish they put it in the movie because it would have made me cry more. And I'm a masochist, I guess, because I like crying. So
It's okay to cry a
that's
little.
yeah.
It's okay to cry.
I know. That's why I like it. It's an emotional.
Can't get enough
release.
of it.
You
I
know?
see.
Yeah, I'm just listening to the Rush songs and bawling my eyes out, and listen to Survive Said the Prophet and blowing my nose.
Understandable. Survive Said the Prophet is goated. We gotta have a music
So,
episode. I feel like I
that's
would
it.
go crazy on that
Well,
one.
I don't know if I actually put this on the doc or not, but I thought of putting a like best or our favorite anime openings and endings
Yeah.
music based,
Yeah.
not visual based, just music. Because I know for a fact every one of us would put the One Piece opening for whatever the most recent arc was, like at almost
Egghead.
at the top.
Yeah, that one was insane.
Yeah. But just music based anime openings.
I
And
feel
favorite
like
anime
we can
openings and
do
endings.
a mixed episode where we kind of discuss both ends for sure.
Yeah,
We
that works too.
could be fun. That's a good transition into what we're currently reading / watching. I feel like we covered most bases anyways. I know Jay, actually both of you covered both of your bases on
Yeah.
that already. I'm the only one
Yeah,
that
you
hasn't
just
shared.
need to
Yeah.
say it.
I have been reading more of the Martial King. I know I mentioned that a couple episodes ago now. I don't remember if it was in Monster or the episode prior. But it's really good. It's kind of nuts right now. Bochi has me second guessing what his intention with the story is every chapter. Cuz it feels like the main character, whose name is Jimu Godspeed, by the way, which is an insane name for a character.
Yeah, kind of like Cocoa Crisp.
But
But the manga
Bro, you
version.
did not talk about Coco Crisp on the podcast.
I did. He played Boston Red Sox
Oh
06
my
to
God.
08, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it prior to
anyways.
recording. God damn it. Yeah, no, so it kind of sets up like a King of the Pirates-esque thing from One Piece, but it keeps you guessing onto who Jimu is and what his intentions are every chapter, and it feels like every chapter you get some answers as to what he might want to do while also giving you more questions as to who he is and like what he really wants to achieve by doing so. Very, very interesting world building going on in that one. Newest chapter was just insane. Like he had his, I think what happened, and I might be wrong about this because the chapter was just kind of wild, but there was a shot of his dad's corpse and the arms from his dad's corpse, but are like machines, fly off of his dad's corpse, shoot up into the sky, blast over to miles, I think, like to where he is, shoots underground, joins arms with those arms, and then he pulls a like super magnum out of the ceiling.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's insanity, but it's really cool.
Dude, I don't even know how to react to what you just
Yeah, I
described.
didn't know how to react to it either. Every page I was just like, what is happening right now? Very fun story. I also read Kaiju number 8, which is definitely in its final act here. It's been very cool. I feel like the final stretch kind of tapered off a little bit compared to the rest of the story, but I've had a lot of fun with it. Kafka's a cool character. It's really, the other characters kind of fall off besides the vice captain Hoshino, but is what it is.
I was interested in watching that anime, but the only thing I ended up consuming out of it was Youngblood's opening for it. And
Understood. I
liked
recommend
but
it. It's a lot of fun. I don't think it's like life changing, but I think a lot of the paneling and monster designs are super cool. So
Speaking of life changing, I forgot where I was going with that. for a
that's
second, but I
actually
remember-
nuts. I was
I
like,
remember-
that was a crazy transition. If you had something,
No, I did. I was gonna say. Speaking of, you can edit all this out if you want. You know,
I will.
Just make me look good. Wait,
This
now
will
you
not
don't-
be
well, now
edited
you-
out.
No, it probably won't be, but it's fine. So, as I was saying, speaking of life changing, A Silent Voice is a very life changing story with some fantastic characters in its cast. And one of those characters happens to be relegated to the sidelines most of the time. But I think his part in the story is paramount and to anyone else's, and he's incredible.
I see.
So for today's topic, we're talking about the greatest of all time, our favorite side characters from any manga or anime that we have watched or read. And I'll start us off with Tomohiro Nagatsuka from Asylum
Before you
Voice.
start saying crazy character names, what we need to define a side character.
You are right. Speaking of side characters, that's a great segue,
You called me a side character. I was like, whoa!
No.
Shots fired.
No. I was gonna say that's a great segue into defining a side character.
Thanks for
Would you
speaking
like
up,
to
you
explain
fucking
to the
side
audience-
character.
Yeah. Would you like to explain to the audience your definition of side character? Or our definition?
Sure. So prior to the cast, we had to like figure out. I can't believe you both said that. I'm gonna edit that in as soon as you did that.
Bro, are we gonna just gloss over the fact that you said prior to the podcast we come?
I did
Yo,
not.
what?
I saw.
You did.
Yo,
That's
what?
what you said. You
I don't
out.
believe I said that.
100%.
I need
that's what you said.
to take you to court for that. That's
We'll
defamation. of character.
rewatch it. We'll re-listen to it. It's fine.
So definition of side characters: anyone that's basically not a part of the main cast, and not like a driving force of the story. So if we're thinking One Piece, anyone in the Straw Hat crew would be main characters in at least my eyes, because they all drive the plot forward in meaningful ways, and they all have their own contributing factors to the main plot. If we're thinking like Naruto, all of Team 7.
7.
Okay,
Yes,
thank God.
7.
All of Team 7. I knew what it was prior too, which is crazy.
You said it earlier.
Yeah. All of Team 7, including Kakashi, I think would count as main characters, and everyone else would be side characters. We're including villains in this discussion, or anti-heroes, because their contributes, their contributions matter a lot to the story.
Yeah, I think you said it best earlier when you described it as people who push the main story forward are main characters, but people who aid that character in pushing the story forward but don't move it forward themselves are side characters.
Awesome. I'm gonna cut out everything I just said and just use that. Thank you.
Okay, well,
And I'm gonna write that Nate said this and not Logan on it, so that I get the credit. I appreciate you.
you did say it. You said it earlier. I was just repeating
Thank you for
it,
driving
so
the
you can
plot
give
forward,
yourself
main
credit.
character. Now can you take it away?
Okay, well, thank you, side character.
Some main character syndrome going on over here.
So, Tomohiro Nagatsuka from A Silent Voice, aka the Big Friend, as he would call himself. Or Big Friend N, I think he calls himself. He is quintessential side character. He is the right-hand man of the main character, aka not Shoko. I literally read 6 volumes of it, and I still can't differentiate their names.
That's wild.
Shoya is the main character, the male main character, and Shoko is the main female character. Okay, Shoya is the main character. Nagatsuka is the only person that he considers a friend throughout almost all of the story. And Nagatsuka is just... He so swiftly moves into the story, but it's actually Ishida, or Shoya, that takes him in as a friend and shows him, or even though Shoya is the one that takes him in as a friend, Nagatsuka is the one that explains to him that friendship doesn't have a set definition, and it can mean anything he wants it to mean. So in the very next arc, when they go to the amusement park, and he's debating on whether he hates Ueno or, he wants to actually befriend Matsuba or anybody like that, or Miki, he is hating himself because he doesn't think he should be allowed to have this much fun. But then he remembers what Nagatsuka said about friendship, and he starts to lighten up on himself. And Nagatsuka is also the first one that takes him out of his slump once he gets out of the school, and just he opens him up. That was the worst way to end that. That was the worst way to end that
Fumbled
point.
the bag right at the finish line. That's insane.
He opens him up to a world of friendship possibilities. Is
You
that
were
better?
doing so well.
I did well still, and you know what? You go next. It's fine.
No.
Go ahead.
I have comments. I think
Okay.
Nagatsuka does a great job at being a like, I don't want to say comic relief, but he kind of is that for the entire story. Like, he's the antithesis to the main group, where the main group is always, I don't want to say melodramatic, but they're always very serious with each other, and like, and the story takes itself very serious, and then Nagatsuka comes along and he brings like a lot of laughs and a lot of like smiles to the group when it's either really needed or otherwise wasn't present.
Bro, that is the perfect description, because I remember literally reading one of the panels that made me cry, and then 3 pages later, Nagatsuka is like basically shaking Shoko's sister, being like, "What the fuck did you do?" And I was like, this guy is crazy, bro. So yeah, he's definitely the one that provides all the laughs. He's you said you didn't want to say the comic relief. He's the best.
I don't want to say comic relief because I feel like he deserves more respect than a comic relief character.
Yeah, he's the icebreaker character.
Yeah.
He he makes
put it.
everything
Glue that holds everything together. For sure.
Yeah, exactly.
We love him. You said it was my turn?
Yes.
Are you sure you want to do that? Because we're going to go right into the H word.
Okay, Jayden, you go first. Okay. Wait. Actually, Jayden, you only have 3 characters. Nate,
Yeah.
you go first.
Oh. Okay.
Jay, do you want to
Say-
talk about that? Do you want to explain to us what you said to us before the podcast?
So the whole thing was side characters that we think carry shows. Or manga, correct?
Correct, yeah.
That was specific
Yeah.
wording of. So I could only think of 2 like serious ones, and then I have a joke one for the last one.
I see. Why,
Okay.
hit us with a
But
serious
okay. Levi, Attack on Titan.
one. Fair.
Damn.
I think out of everyone in the Scouts, he is the main carry for the whole regiment from the beginning to the end.
I thought you were gonna say the main character.
No.
And I was
He's
gonna say,
basically,
like,
of that
he-
group, he is the main character.
Yeah.
True.
He is like, how do I explain it? I think without him, the Scouts wouldn't be as strong as they are. Where they get to a point where they're able to get to the sea. And then they're able to finally get off the islands, go to the mainland. And actually figure out the truth about what's going on with pretty much what's going on in the world. Because, so for anyone that hasn't watched it and doesn't really, spoilers. I already spoiled it, but. So, if you don't know how Attack on Titan works, is they're all on this island and there's these monsters called Titans. But come to
crazy.
find out, it's the people from the island. It's their race of people that have been kind of like pushed away from society, and then pushed onto the island. And then if any of them I forgot what was the name of the country, but if they're caught, I think if they caught doing a crime, they get sent over and get turned into a Titan, and they're supposed to like live out, but because of all the years that had passed, the people on the mainland, I think they forgot that, or they had no clue about the walled cities, or the walled city that was on the island.
Mm-hmm.
So they were pretty much, it was pretty much them throwing them onto the island and just being like, okay. And then they end up killing, if anyone tried leaving the walls, they'd get killed by Titans.
Yep.
But yeah, for me, Eli, he absolutely carries that group.
Eli?
Levi, my bad.
Definitely said Eli. That's insane. Wow, we're all just dropping the ball right at the end. Huh?
No, shout out my boy Eli.
Eli Lackerman.
Shout out my boy Eli.
Shout out Coco Chris.
This is so stupid. Can you get me an image of Coco Chris plug so I can put it in?
Oh god, okay, yeah, sure.
I feel like I'm gonna just get me a
Jayden's
single
got
image of him and I'll just flash him on screen every time.
Get the one where his afro was like coming out the side of his hat. That's a good one.
Jesus Christ.
We're gonna just throw it up.
There it is.
I can't even laugh because there was definitely a period at work where I look like that.
Oh, that's even
I mean,
yeah, let's do better images.
I love this guy. Oh my god. That fro is fucking beautiful.
We're just gonna throw all these images.
Okay, that's a profile picture.
For sure, yeah. I love.
But
Coco.
yeah, Levi.
Yeah.
Levi's a great character.
Oh yeah, Levi. My bad.
He actually, out of all the clips I've seen of Attack on Titan, I've seen Levi the most because I haven't watched anything past halfway through season 2, but Levi would probably be my favorite character besides Armin. Armin was my favorite from when I was watching it.
He is my favorite character from the whole series.
Oh, okay. Then maybe Armin would have stayed my favorite, and then Levi would have been my second favorite. But
I think Levi is a
dope.
very easy character to root for, just because he's cool and you understand immediately, like within the first season, what he's going through, and like as the season as the story progresses, you follow his story and like what he has to go through, just as much as everybody else. And his experiences impact the experiences of the main cast. He's just a solid support beam for him the entire way through. He fills the Kakashi role really well. Shout out to the Kakashi role that I just coined now.
I mean, it is the teacher role, and teachers are main characters, so they don't count.
All right.
Well, wait, is that it? Is that all you have for Levi, Jayden?
Yeah, I think so. I know it's kind of basic, but like...
No, I think it's a valid
It's
pick.
one that's like, it's got to be mentioned.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you can't have like an episode like this and not talk about him.
Fair.
Who's
all right.
your H-word pick? Nate?
Yeah. So I know we both have a let's stop calling it that. I know we have a IQ pick. And I think we share one, but I also have another one. Let's do the one we share first, and then I'll go into my personal pick.
All right, let's say it on 3.
Oh boy.
1, 2, 3.
Bokuto.
Tendo.
All right, that's crazy.
Oh.
Tendo.
I mean, listen,
Tendo?
I do think, yeah.
I mean, what? That's
Me,
crazy.
who has no clue what you guys talking
Bokuto is
about.
my favorite character in the entire show, but I don't think I feel like he's not. I know we said side character versus main character, like we already differentiated them, but in my eyes, Bokuto is the main character.
I feel like that reasoning is exactly why he's a side character who carries. Like, he's
That's
so
fair.
strong of a side character that he feels like he's just a part of the main cast.
I also forgot about the whole carry thing, even though almost all of my entries are
Hard carries.
who would carry. But you know what? I'm changing to Bokuto.
Tendo.
I'll still
Listen,
mention.
honorable mention for Tendo for sure, because Tendo is one of my personal favorite characters. I love Tendo. Don't get me wrong.
I will explain my reasoning for why I picked Tendo. And actually, let me say, I will not relegate. I will, like, cut down my characters who carry to only season 3 of Haikyuu, mentioning Tendo. So, I'm not, like, when you mention Bokuto, and I agree with Bokuto, as in a whole series type of thing, he's the most carrying side character there is in Haikyuu. But if we're talking about only season 3, I think Tendo was my favorite side character, and I think that he provided a lot of good moments.
Gotcha. I'm just getting some images of both of those characters right now because I fully expected you to have a Bokuto one already.
Well, I mean, I have multiple Bokuto pictures saved for wallpapers and stuff, so I'll just throw those in here.
Gotcha.
Someone tells me he's one of your favorites.
No. I'm kidding.
No, Bokuto rules. So
he's my favorite in the whole series, not even side
he
characters,
also fills the Kakashi role in a way. Like, he's not so much of a teacher, but he's like an inspiration for Hinata. And he, like, looks up to him. And like, whenever Bokuto's on screen, he kind of steals the limelight. Yeah, he's so energetic and full of life anytime he's around, and he's funny. Like, anytime he's just absolutely failing, it's hilarious. And watching his team just kind of be used to that is also funny. And then when he is playing, like, especially, this has happened more in the manga. By the way, side tangent, we're getting an anime for, I don't know if it's an OVA or if it's like a part of the season of the anime, but we're getting the Bokuto match in the tournament, in the final tournament of Haikyuu animated, which I fully thought they were going to cut. I'm so excited for that because that's his best match, bar none.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, he is the main character of that arc.
Yeah.
Those 3 volumes or whatever, however many it is.
I'm very excited for that. Talking about that arc specifically too, like that match, I wish I remembered who they faced, but Bokuto's whole character pretty much gets explained, like his backstory and stuff in that match, and like knowing, you know, where he came from of being a character who kept pushing himself more and more and more and struggled to find teammates who could match his energy. And then to finally find, not necessarily match his energy, but to find teammates who put up with him respectfully. Like, they like, appreciate him for who he is and to go that extra mile with him. Like, that, going the entire story of him being the shining star and to see him be brought down a little bit and then to get raised up by his team was awesome. Like, that whole scenario was amazing. That is one of the most memorable moments of Haikyuu, in my opinion. I'm impressed with what they did with his character.
He carries, not even just that match, but Hinata's whole. He is Hinata's inspiration for improving and wanting to be the ace even more than Hinata already wanted to be the ace.
Yeah.
So he is definitely a carrying side character.
I would argue I quote Bokuto more than anyone else in Haikyuu. And it's probably because he has the most quotable line of all time. But,
What? Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
He's awesome. I love him. But I've got one more Haikyuu character that we'll briefly discuss.
Okay.
This one was more of a personal pick, as I found out in the pre-recording discussion. But Oikawa? God, I love Oikawa. What an awesome anti-hero character throughout the entire story. And I call him an anti-hero and not an antagonist because he's not no, there's not really antagonists in Haikyuu. Mainly because no one's necessarily evil.
Yeah, everyone else just wants to win as well.
Yeah.
So
Up until the first time Kurasuno played Blue Castle, I didn't get a feeling for, man, I want the other team to win just as bad. Once Oikawa's character got introduced and he was like a rival to Tobio, and like we learned more about their rivalry and their backstory, and watching Oikawa's team click with one another and watching Kurasuno click with one another, this was the first match in Haikyuu where I was like, man, I really want to see the other team win. Spoilers, Blue Castle does win. And we get a whole arc where they train for a run back. And it's fucking awesome. Oikawa was such an awesome... He sets himself up as such a unbeatable wall, and then they do get over the wall. And even after they get over his wall midway through the series, he's still a present character up until the very end. Like, this is a character that does not stay down, and it fits him so well. Like, his whole gimmick of wanting to be the best just like everyone else, but he's not going to settle at all. And he's going to outwit and outmaneuver the main cast at every turn in a way that is just entertaining and fun. I think that justifies carrying as a side character.
Okay, first off, you can't mention a wall unless Date Tech is part of the conversation.
My bad.
You can't call
My
Oikawa the wall.
My bad, Logan.
When there's literally an iron wall. But anyway.
Well, they got a castle wall.
That's true, they do. I will say that Oikawa is a great character, but in terms of likability, I find him at the lower end. Even though he's in our S+ tier on the tier list that I
yeah, I guess I will
first.
have to just flash that on screen, I guess.
Yeah. But Bokuto is right under Hinata, and then, you know, everything follows suit. I still think I agree with this list even after... I can't remember if we finished the manga before doing this tier list. Or
I had just finished the manga, I think, when we did that.
Oh, well, then
list.
if you finished it, then I already did too. But yeah. So.
Yeah, no.
I don't know, man. Oikawa was a good pick, but I just can't like him.
I said Tendo is one of my favorite characters in Bokuto, but I think Oikawa will forever be my number one. I really enjoyed his arc throughout the entire thing. Damn. I got so excited. Spoiler warning. After the time skip, I got insanely excited when it was the Hinata in Oikawa special for fucking like 30 chapters or whatever. I was like, this is the most hype.
Adventure.
Yeah, the beach volleyball arc. That shit was so exciting to me. Like, I felt like that arc was written specifically for me because it was made in Brazil. I'm Brazilian, by the way, in case anyone listening didn't know. It was done in Brazil. It was beach volleyball, which was interesting and unique to learn about. Oikawa was there, and Hinata was there. That's all I needed. My two goats.
But, yeah, like, even more reason for me to dislike Oikawa, he stole Pedro's spotlight, bro.
Fuck Pedro, bro.
Pedro's
a
supposed
fraud.
to be... Okay. I cannot continue this podcast, even though I'm supposed to say my next character, so I guess I gotta continue on.
You can't leave.
Okay, guys,
Possible.
listeners, you can take the cotton out of your ears. The H-word section is over now. You're welcome.
Okay, so, next character that I feel carried... I'm pretty sure she was in the second season. If not, she was at the very end of the first season of To Your Eternity. Tonari, who is basically like the rebel with a cause character, and the whole the whole like story behind her is that she is a prisoner on this island that Fushi and Panori, I can't remember the grandma's name, but whoever the old woman is that's with Fushi, they go to this island because the villain, like, I can't remember, I'm pretty sure the villain captures them and brings them to the island, and they basically have to fight it out in like this coliseum basically, but all the whole time the old woman is they're trying to get off of the island, and they want to save Tonari and get her off the island as well. But Tonari is also part of this vigilante group kind of that's rising up against I think her name's Hikari, the main villain of the show.
Mhm.
And it's very depressing what happens to Tonari, but she makes basically the ultimate sacrifice for not only Fushi and the old woman to escape, but the other people on the island as well, to witness what their quote-unquote leader is actually trying to do to everyone on the island eventually. It's basically just she's holding everybody hostage and as a slave to make them fight for their lives for other people's entertainment. But even the people that are being entertained will have to fight in the arena at some point. So Tonari is the only one that is ever helping anyone on the island. And it just so happens that she met Fushi and the old woman right off the bat. So she basically just,
Yeah,
she does it all.
She did. So it's been a while since I read To Your Eternity. I remember this arc being my favorite, I think. And she did pretty much steal the show the entire time. Like, Fushi didn't do a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly.
She was kind of the main character for a while she was here.
I don't think he was talking at this point either. I think that was after this that he learned to talk.
Yeah, I don't fucking remember. It has genuinely been years since I read To Your Eternity. That I think that's on the wheel though. And we might
It is.
pick that one up at some point. Good one. That's a
So
good
yeah,
one.
that's another goated pick in my opinion. Jayden.
Okay,
your
so my
second
next
character.
one, Roy Mustang from Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, that's a good
Bro.
pick. That's a good pick.
I'm hard.
For me, the like.
Huh? Wait, pause. What
Wait
the
a minute.
Huh? What are you saying?
Okay.
Jayden, what are you
So-
saying? Continue. We don't have to pause on anything.
For me, what got me to pick him was more just the one scene, not the one scene, the one fight that at least from what I can always like replay in my head from Full Metal Alchemist is his fight against Lust.
A lot of
Yeah.
people recall that one. I think when I was reading through Full Metal last year, anytime I would bring it up to somebody, they would be like, "Oh man, my favorite part was, the fight with Lust," and I was like, "Damn." But I understand
Yeah.
why. Like, it's insane.
It is like, and I think that's also due to like the animation and all that. But like the way that he's just able to just pretty much set the whole room on fire, and like no one else could be hurt. And then Roy Mustang shows up, and he's like, "I got this, guys."
Yeah, he takes that lighter and he
Just
he
disintegrates.
gives it to her.
Yeah, Roy is. He's a very interesting character to follow too, because
Yeah.
like you, at least for me when I was reading it, it was kind of like you knew he was a good guy, but like what he was trying to do was kind of questionable.
Because if I remember correctly, he wasn't like all in on the government, right?
No, his whole thing was he was trying to plan a coup the entire time.
That's what it was, yeah.
So like he wasn't like in terms of like being a fan of the people and or like being one for the people and shit like that. He absolutely was, especially as you learn more about his character and why he's doing what he's doing. But up until before that backstory drop, it's kind of hard to like 100% root for him because you don't really have context to why he's doing some questionable shit.
Mhm.
As like when he has to fake the death of I can't remember her name, but the
Hawkeye.
like no, the lieutenant that is with the Elric brothers for like the first arc or so.
Armstrong?
No,
Oh.
Rebecca, I think her name was. It was she hides in Jing or the other country for a long time.
Okay.
Oh
I know.
shit.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, that fake out rides for a long time. For like most of the series, you don't know she's alive. Let me see if I actually got her name right. No, Rebecca is not her name. That's the name of Mustang's or not Mustang's, Hawkeye's friend. Let me see. Ross, Lieutenant Ross.
Oh yeah.
Aha, yeah, I remember
Let
that.
me get a image of her in the chat real quick.
Oh, I forgot about the Mustangs.
When Mustang fake out kills her, for a long time you have to sit there and be like, wow, he really did just like murder that character, and she was pretty cool. But it turns out that didn't happen, and maybe you could have come around and been like, yeah, he probably wouldn't have done that. I had my suspicions, but like it was hard to believe that he didn't fully do it either for a while. He's a cool character. In terms of like plot intrigue, he in a series about mystery, he does carry that aspect pretty well.
I also liked
I
what's her name?
Up.
Winry.
Winry?
Winry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think she really like carries the story.
That's fair.
think
I
she's
would
like a
argue
main-
she's a main
she-
character, honestly. I don't know how good Brotherhood specific, because I didn't watch Brotherhood. I know a sin. I'm sorry. I don't know how well Brotherhood depicts her character, but at least in the manga, it feels like occasionally she gets like an entire arc pretty much dedicated to her and her
Yeah.
involvement.
Like
So-
I get like without her, like
Without her, Scar
I,
is not a cool character, so like
um
it is what it is.
Edward can't like do anything because he'd be without an arm and a leg.
Yep.
Pretty much.
She does low-key carry.
Yeah.
But she's not like a
I don't
hard
think
carry.
she's a. Yeah.
She's like
like
a good
Alphonse-
support role in
I don't think he
Rivals.
would have. I don't think he'd have the suit if it wasn't for her, right?
She's like the Luna Snow of the team.
Exactly.
You know who isn't the Luna Snow of the team though from Full Metal Alchemist? My boy Greed, baby.
Agreed.
Hard DPS, hard locks Bucky every time. Easy.
I thought you were gonna say Nina.
That's crazy, dude. Who does Nina hard lock in Rivals? Rocket.
Venom. Oh.
Anyways, Greed, based character. I just want to do an honorable mention real quick. He was my pick from FMA. I don't want to talk about FMA for too much longer, but
I'll throw in a
between
winner.
between Greed and Lang Greed, like that, he was my favorite homunculus the entire time. He was such an interesting character to follow throughout the whole thing, and to like get a side of the homunculus that were not entirely evil. And could be you don't want to necessarily root for him, but he's not entirely a dickhead, at least for the majority of the story.
I didn't want to root for Greed at all.
You didn't like Greed?
Fuck that guy.
I don't like him
No.
either.
What? Is that a hot take? I thought you were I thought he was made like I thought it was pretty easy to like him. I thought he had a cool.
Am I mistaking him for someone else? Greed is the little kid, right?
No, you're thinking of
No.
Pride.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Greed-
I like Greed. Greed's the one that's like, yeah,
Greed
that guy.
is the character who Jesus Christ. See? Greed Greed's the character who has like the little mafia group around like the second arc of the story, and then the Fuhrer comes in and kills them, and then Greed dies, and then he comes back through Ling, and he takes over Ling's body.
Yeah, that's what I remember him doing.
Yeah.
Taking over Ling. Yeah, okay. And then I was thinking of Pride.
Yeah.
I hate Pride.
Pride is a little bozo, for sure. That I understand. I was going to say, like, I thought Greed was actually really likable. I can't believe...
No, Greed... Yes, I was sadly mistaken. I'm sorry. It's not a hot take. I don't like Pride. Well, that might be a hot take, but I don't like Pride.
Fair. I liked Pride, but not anywhere near the same degree as Greed. Like, Pride was very obviously meant to be a character who was, like, you know... you weren't supposed to like him, I don't think. He was an interesting character, if nothing else. Okay. Log, you got another one for us? Another hard carry?
I do. My next hard carry is a little man. Well, not a little man. A big man called...
I feel like I just got flashbanged. This is...
Despa from Ranking of Kings.
Ranking of Kings, that's right. I couldn't think of the name.
Despa is... He comes out of left field, and it is the most awkward and yet endearing left field I've ever seen. Shout out Coco Crisp. I don't know if he played in left field or not, but...
That's insane that you're going to make me edit his stupid face in a third time.
Sorry. Despa is basically... So he is a teacher character, but I wouldn't call him a teacher as much as I would a mentor, because he does not appear until the very end of season 1, and then he's sort of more of a mainstay in season 2, but then again, he also doesn't have that much draw to Bocchi's story. I think his name is Bocchi. Yeah, pretty sure. The little man, the little king. He trains Bocchi in swordsmanship and actually makes him a lethal weapon in fights. But Bocchi is such a kind-hearted individual that he doesn't really want to fight anybody, if that makes sense. And Despa, he notices that. So at first he's taking advantage of Bocchi, and he's kind of making him just do chores around his house and clean the floors and cook for him and do all that shit. But eventually he comes around to Bocchi, and he starts to take him under his wing a lot more. And then he assists him in basically every quest that he ever takes on after that, except for when he goes back to his kingdom, which is exactly why I don't think he counts as main character, because he's not a part of a lot of the kingdom arc. But he develops Bocchi into the king that he becomes, and he's goated for that. I love Despa.
He sounds like a awesome character. I wish I had a bit more context for him, but I wanna... Ranking of Kings is definitely on my to-do list of things I need to study and get caught up on.
It's definitely a good watch, or I'd assume read as well, but I watched it and I loved it, so...
Okay.
He looks like, oh, what's that superhero called?
Omni-Man?
Bruce Wayne.
Is it Omni-Man?
Bruce Wayne? Fullander? Or Highlander?
Yeah, Omni-Man, yeah.
Homelander?
No, Omni-Man, yeah.
Bro, Fullander.
I'm sorry,
crazy.
bro, I don't... Okay.
No, this is Omni. He kind of looks like Omni-Man.
Talk about Eli.
Okay.
Eli's crazy.
He kind of like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can you see... Because I can kind of see you.
Well, in that first image, it's like he's talking to Mark, and he's like, "Think, Mark."
Yeah,
But
it's the same vibe for sure.
Yo, can we edit that and then add that into the podcast? That'd be sick.
You're
just do it side by side.
Anyways.
Jayden, you're up.
I I'm gonna
No,
save
Snape's
Jayden
turn.
here. No, I'm gonna save Jayden.
Okay.
I have a character that I think we can both talk about that I don't think is your last character. I'd be surprised if it is.
Now, my last one was kind of a joke character. But...
Well, this character is on the outside a joke character, but he's the most based individual to ever do it. My boy, Mr. Two-Bon Clay, the goat of all goats. This,
Good Lord,
listen,
what?
I
Oh.
called it before the podcast. Logan was gonna be like, huh? Jay, so you're not at Impel Down yet, so you don't have the full context of.
I've
this
met him
character.
before. 'cause
You
he
have
appears
met
earlier.
him in Alabasta.
Yeah, in Alabasta.
I even think he's at. He comes in prior to that too, but Mr. Two. First off, let's talk about Alabasta first, since he has two major appearances in the series of One Piece. By the way, he's a One Piece character. In Alabasta, he's a part of Baroque Works, right? He's a mob boss essentially, or one of the mob bosses of Alabasta, and him and Sanji's fight is like one of the best fights in that arc of the series. I almost said the entire series, but One Piece is a long series. He first okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. He is the first character I think the crew meets in Alabasta because they pick him up before they even arrive at Alabasta on his ship, before they know he's a part of Baroque Works.
I think so.
In his involvement, his devil fruit, Log, for context for you, is when he touches you, if he touches somebody, I think with his left hand, he can then press his right hand up to his face and switch his appearance to that person. So...
Oh, dang.
He arrives on their ship, essentially gets most of the crew's faces, and once the crew realizes that he was a member of Baroque Works, it becomes this big issue of, we're about to go fight this big, we're going to go try to take down Crocodile, who is like the biggest villain the series has seen up to that point. He's trying to just completely overrun this country, and these mob bosses are no fucking joke. He's a warlord of the sea. That's right. I think he's the first warlord of the sea they fight. So insurmountable odds at this point in the story. And as a countermeasure for meeting him, one of the best scenes in all of One Piece comes to pass. They write X's on the backs of their, right hands. Yeah, you know exactly where I'm going with this.
So
this
they
happens
can tell
because of
who's who.
Mr. 2. Yep, so they know exactly if someone's real or not. It's a red herring because that whole face swapping bit doesn't come up in like the arc really. But at the very end of the arc, when they have to leave Vivi behind and she can't a whole thing, but they have to leave a character behind at Alabasta. And she's been a part of the crew for arcs at that point. Yeah.
She's a princess? Or
yep, she is the princess.
Yeah, her
and
father's
the government is watching as they're doing their farewell, so she can't say goodbye to her friends. So instead of being able to say goodbye, she just kind of raises her arm with the X on it, and everyone on the Straw Hat crew does the same exact thing without giving away that they were crewmates, basically. It is like one of the best moments in all of One Piece. And it came because of this guy. Outside of that, his personality's fucking hilarious. The "Oh Come My Way" bit is great. His like fighting style. He's basically like talking about this is weird because I feel like at the time he was written, it was a little insensitive, I think. But he's come around.
I think so, yeah.
But that's the thing, right? So
he's a male ballerina. That's
male
right.
ballerina.
That's
essentially,
like his...
yeah. And his like idol, essentially, Ivankov, can turn people between male and female as their devil fruit power. So there's a whole lot of gender swapping going on around Bon Clay and Ivankov, and Bon Clay essentially loses in Alabasta, flash forward a bit. Light spoilers for you, Jay. I'm sorry that I have to spoil this way.
That's okay.
Luffy has to go to a prison at one point. I mean, I'm trying to like avoid spoilers as much as possible as to why he's there. And while at prison, he meets Bon Clay again. And because, if you recall how Bon Clay and Luffy left each other in Alabasta, Bon Clay, like, basically sacrificed himself so the Straw Hat crew could get away.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they save him the first time on their way to Alabasta, he's like, "Don't worry, you guys are my friends, and I would never betray a friend." Kind of nonsense. Yeah. And then, like, he meets Luffy in prison, and he still has that same fucking energy. Like, Luffy's getting hunted down by, like, a pack of wolves, essentially. And Mr. Two comes in and absolutely cleans house.
Because I'm going to assume Luffy's bounty goes up again after Skypiea, right?
Yeah. Luffy's bounty goes up so many times.
I think so, 100 million?
You're not too far off of Impel Down, to be fair. But I really don't want to spoil it.
Let me double check that.
Essentially what happens is the warden kicks Luffy's ass, and Mr. Two gets Luffy to Ivankov, who is also in the prison. And Ivankov and his people have to, like, save Luffy's life, essentially. And Mr. Two, while all that is happening, is, like, an absolute homie and just, like, praying for Luffy's recovery. Like, the whole time he's shouting at Luffy, like, "You got this, man. You can do this. Don't you worry. I believe in you. Yeah, if anyone can do it, you can." And then something happens at the end of Impel Down that I dare not spoil for you. But, again, he goes out like a fucking Chad. Like, Mr. Two is one of my favorite One Piece characters, but, like, every time he's on screen, the Bokuto effect, he just steals the show. An absolute joy of a character to be around. I'm glad a character like him, who could have ended up in the annals of history as like a, Mr. Popo kind of rendition, if you know what I mean, ended up being a really based fucking character. Like, his representation is awesome.
I may not watch One Piece, but I like the cut of his jib.
One day when you do go through One Piece, Log, everyone has their day. I'm sure you will enjoy Mr. Two as much as me and the rest of the One Piece community. But let me just hold on. I gotta hit us with this real quick.
Ad break.
Look at that beautiful fucking smile.
This guy's got a chin, bro.
He absolutely does. Yeah, what you got, Luke?
Is it me next? Okay. So now that Tendo was off the table, I have two remaining characters. I think I want to.
Can I suggest something? Do you want to rapid fire a couple of, or I guess you only have 2 characters left, but I have like 6 or 7. I was gonna like rapid fire them, and then save like one final one.
Okay.
One final discussion one and one joke one, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, the one I have is a joke one too. So.
What do you got, Luke?
Jayden only has one. I will say this is a brief one because
Okay. Well, let's do our brief segment then.
Yeah, so I don't think this is gonna be like. I mean, I love this character, but I also think out of all the characters on my list, he's the one that I have the least, attachment to. But it's Welf Crozo from...
I don't even know who this is.
Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? He's the blacksmith character.
Okay.
From Danmachi. So basically, he joins the Hestia family, and he is almost like the last component that they need to go even further into the dungeon, because Bell gets soft-locked, basically, at a point where he's getting really powerful on his own, but I don't necessarily remember if they can't afford the weapon that he wants, or if he's just, like, he can't actually physically wield the weapon. So Wealth starts to craft weapons for everybody and basically just upgrades their entire arsenal. And then there's also a point where he's trapped with a bunch of other adventurers in like really deep in the dungeon, and he pulls out some crazy basically main character energy bullshit where he has this inner monologue and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm thinking I understand it now. Like my blacksmithery, it has been wrong this whole time." And then he puts like his heart and soul into making this blade that just actually nukes everything. Like he just grasps the handle and everything in front of him explodes and he gets everyone out of there. So pretty sick moment, but yeah, that's my rapid fire. So
Okay.
I have one very serious one for the end.
Gotcha. I'm gonna go crazy rapid fire on these. I got an honorable mention my boy Rengoku from Demon Slayer.
Okay.
I think he was, in terms of like the Kakashi character, I mean, he was there for like literally not even like a tenth of the story. But for what he was around for, man, again, the Bokuto effect, he stole the limelight. I cared more about Rengoku than anybody else that entire like Mugen Train arc.
Mm.
He was so much fun, and so cool at the end. And then I also have my boy Dr. Stein. I want to give him a shout out from Soul Eater. Another teacher character. A lot of teacher characters. A lot of mentors. I'm now noticing they are just goated. He's an interesting teacher character because he's a teacher character with a lot of flaws, and his flaws drive the story forward in an interesting way in Soul Eater. So I for anyone who's read it, again, I want to rapid fire these, so I don't want to get into it, but anyone who's read Soul Eater or watched Soul Eater, you understand like the impact he has on the story, and like the direction his character goes in matters a lot, and it's interesting and impacts some character choices. Dr. Stein, and then for my boy Jay, I've got some fun rapid fires you'll recognize. First off, my boy Seba from Sakamoto Days, Invisible Boy.
Okay.
Goated villain. Spoilers, he comes back later, and he's awesome. Him and Shin have like a fucking like they just become bros. All of his like tech stuff is super cool. He helps Shin out a lot, honestly. He's just a fun character to be around. I like the way his character turns from being like just, a typical throwaway villain character in that first like major arc in the museum to being, a bro and like trying to help out the main cast. And another Sakamoto Days character.
Damn.
I mean, Sakamoto Days, you could say anyone's a fucking goat in Sakamoto Days, I'm gonna be honest. My boy Nagamo. Nagamo is the hardest carry of all time. Yeah. He's so cool.
He looks like he would be. The way he's holding that dice.
We're about to get his like, so we haven't seen in the anime, I don't think yet, the way he fights. Essentially, that thing he's carrying in his other hand is a massive like Swiss Army knife that just has a bunch of different like blades and gadgets and shit in it, and he basically rolls the dice to determine what he's gonna fight with the Swiss Army knife. He's a demon. He's also just cool. He's like basically Sakamoto's best friend. One of the main original trio in that story. So he's cool. He's a lot of fun to learn about, and he's still honestly to this day in the manga kind of a mystery. Has that
like mysterious guys?
Yeah, we talked about a mysterious guy earlier. Who the fuck was that? Roy Mustang. He has like the Roy Mustang effect.
Gotcha.
Okay. I have two semi-serious ones that I will rapid fire after yours, Logan. And then I have a joke one to go along with Jay's.
I also have another rapid fire.
Oh,
Teruki from Mob Psycho.
who?
Teruki, the first guy that he fights, Hanazawa, the blonde kid.
Oh yeah, the fucking cactus head.
Exact. Yes, cactus head, a bald head turned cactus head. Yes,
Yeah. He is pretty based.
He is sick.
I
just
do
thought of
enjoy
him randomly. I'm like, wait, I know there was one anime that I put on my list that I should look for characters in, and it was between him or Dimple. But I'm pretty sure
Dimple counts as a main.
I would count him
character.
as a main.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, for sure.
Teruki.
That is, yeah. I want to say the umbrella guy that joins later, but I don't feel like he does enough in the story. Yeah.
Well, he does in season 3 kind of, but not like fighting
I love his like character,
Serizawa.
don't get me wrong. Yeah, Serizawa. But I don't think he's around long enough to consider him carrying the entire story on his back.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Log.
Yep.
Who you got for your final discussion piece of this episode?
Okay, my final discussion piece is Coach Nanbu from Megalobox. Bro, why are you laughing,
The second
bruh?
Megalobox mention. I feel like we're going to talk about Megalobox a lot. Because I'm planning on watching this, actually.
Wait.
Like, relatively soon.
You mean like in general in the podcast?
Yeah.
Or this episode?
No, in the podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I guess I'm
yeah.
saying that because I just edited your section of that, essentially, in the
Yeah, that was the
episode.
first episode.
Yeah.
So, but it's a very good show, and I think it's extremely underrated because I have not seen anyone else or talked to anyone else that is into anime even deeper than I am and has watched the show. I haven't heard a single person say they've watched Megalobox, and it's a sin because I really, really like that show. But Coach Nanbu is another teacher character, but he falls into the same boat as all the other ones where he doesn't really... He is not a driving force for the main character's story, but he is a supporting character to the main character's arcs, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Joe is doing all the stuff on his own, but he's basically just like, you know, he's like Doc Brown to Little Mac. He just does everything for Joe. Well, actually, I should say, my favorite part about his character is that at the beginning of the show, and I won't spoil anything that happens, but at the beginning of the show, he's using Joe as a way to win the underground fights and sway the votes, basically, to say, oh, you know, Glass Joe, he doesn't have any gear, or Average Joe, he doesn't have any gear.
I was going to say, they call him Glass Joe from, like, Punch-Out? That's crazy.
No, I think they call him Average Joe.
Okay.
That's, like, his tag name. But he's like, oh, he doesn't have any gear, he's not going to win, obviously. So everybody else votes against Joe, because they're like, yeah, this guy's got no gear, what the fuck is he going to do? He's not going to win. So they all place their bets on everyone else. Shout out Glass Joe in the chat. He basically, you know, just sets him up, and he wins because he bets on Joe, and then he realizes what a great cash out that is, so he can become his coach and get money from the bets. So that's what he starts out as. And then slowly, as Joe starts to climb the ranks, he regrets what he's doing and sees Joe as more of a son to him than just somebody to help him gain popularity and money. And there's a turning point in the end where he has a very big choice to make, and he favors Joe over the other end of that deal. So he's absolutely amazing. I love his character and the way it develops over the course of the show.
Hell yeah. I like a good Doc Lewis stand-in.
So, are you gonna go next, or is Jayden gonna go next?
Um,
That's the real question.
I'm gonna go. I decided I will rapid fire these, but just know that I love these characters to death, and I wish I had more time to talk about them. And maybe someday I will have more time to talk about them if we ever land on this on the wheel. I want to
It's
talk
gonna be
about my
Hunter x Hunter.
boys,
Oh, it's not.
Dr. Rip and Ano Un from Undead Unluck. Rip is kind of the... When I said anti-hero earlier, this is the character I thought about. The one on the left, I guess, for Logan J on the the manga cover. His whole thing. I think I described to you what the power system is in Undead Unluck before, but just as a brief reminder, it's like all the characters negate a specific thing in the world, like a rule of the world. So undead is a guy who can't die. Unluck is a person who, anytime you touch them, you get an insane amount of bad luck. Dr. Rip's thing is unrepair. So anytime he cuts you, that wound won't heal. His whole story is incredibly tragic in what he was trying to do and the way he became unrepair. And the way his story develops throughout the entire story, without going into spoilers, just every, I'll say, iteration of Rip is a banger. I love his character every time he shows up. He's always... He's essentially just the shadow to Sonic. Like, he's just cool to be cool, and his motivation is really interesting and fun to follow. It's hard not to root for him. Ano Un, on the other hand, is unknown. And if we're talking about someone who hard carries the story, Undead Unluck wouldn't fucking exist without them.
Damn.
Literally from page 1, I think, of Undead Unluck. That might be a slight exaggeration. But, from page 1, or, chapter 1 at least, before I think maybe over 100 chapters before we even know who this character is, in the story. I'll write, on the screen, what chapter they actually do show up in. They're influencing the story. Their negator ability is nobody knows who they are. They're essentially invisible to the world. And they have this device. There's also these... I forget what they call them in Undead Unluck, but there's, these artifacts that negate that do either negate rules of the world or, give special powers or benefits to people. They have I forget exactly what the pen does, but it essentially allows them to communicate with people despite not being able to be seen or known. So he's... Ano Un, in the position they're in, becomes a mangaka and then writes out the events of the story, essentially, hidden in their hit manga. And then slowly... that the main character reads at the start of Undead Unluck. And over the course of the story, they piece together, oh shit, wait a minute. These things that are happening in the... Or I think the pen knows about the future or some shit like that. Because they're able to piece together that the manga they liked so much growing up has all this information about what's going to happen and, where to find this and who to meet next and stuff like that. So, eventually they do find a way to communicate with Ano Un. I think Ano Un makes... this blonde character on screen is, it's a stand-in for Ano Un. It's not actually them. I think it's some kind of either an effect from the pen or an effect from their negator ability. But this this brown hair character is actually them. Very fun character, super cool. Literally, again, hard carried the start of the story the entire way through. Even in the end, they show up at the end of the story, and they get the final arc is a lot of last laughs from all the main cast, and they get like the final last laugh essentially. Very very fun character. You could argue it was like a author stand-in, but the way I see it, they were cool, so it doesn't matter. I really like them.
Yeah, it sounds like a very meta character. Breaking the boundaries.
Undead Unluck is a lot of meta breaking and like I don't want to say fourth wall breaking, but like breaking the boundaries of storytelling in general. So having a character like Ano-un in there is it just they fit Undead Unluck so well. I don't think that could have been done in any other story. At least not to the same degree that they were. Okay. I believe we've got 2 joke characters left.
I just thought of someone. That
Rapid fire.
Both of you guys, Lunge.
Oh, Dr. Lunge! Or Dr. Lunge, kill me. Inspector Lunge. I didn't know he picked up being a doctor. He liked Tenma so much that he picked up his profession.
He is now the brain surgeon.
I am the brain surgeon. Yeah, no,
that's a good pick.
Inspector Lunge is an insane pick. I agree. Is he the best? I would say Grimer is the hard character. No.
No, Lunge is more of a hard character.
I'd say they both
because
share.
He's part of the whole story.
I'd say they share a degree of hard carry, but Dr. Lunge does. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the Mustang intrigue thing, he does pretty much hold a lot of the like, man, what is he gonna do next? Is he finally gonna come around kind of vibe? So I agree on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can go with the joke ones.
Yeah. All right, who's your funny haha pick?
It's the man that saved the world. Single-handedly saved the world. It's Mr. Satan.
Mr. Satan!
Bro,
yeah,
that's
no,
crazy.
for sure.
This guy single-handedly saved the Dragon Ball world. Okay?
That's true.
If it wasn't for him, the world would have been destroyed.
That's, yeah.
That he does a lot.
His
for...
words, not mine. Maybe. Might be. I actually don't remember. It's been a while.
He does a lot for the story. He gives, the characters, whether or not they realize what's happening, he gives the main cast a fallback for like, what you saw, it was just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And like he does in the Boo arc, he does an insane amount of work at the very end to get that spirit bomb off for sure.
With all jokes aside, Mr. Popo's gotta have like some mention.
Wait,
Mr. Popo is crazy.
Mr. Popo?
You're like, damn, Mr. Satan clearly wasn't funny enough. He was too real of a pick. Kinda hard. Gotta swerve.
But no, because let's be honest. Mr. Popo, like, what was his name? Not Piccolo. Piccolo was the villain side. Yeah, Kami. Like, yeah, he was the protector of Earth. Let's be honest. Popo was doing most of the work anyways. That's all I'm gonna say. Popo was really the one that trained Goku.
I wouldn't say that, but did you guys? So I watched all of Daima.
I have not.
I haven't watched a single second
Yeah.
of it.
I just been seeing clips on Twitter.
Have you seen the clip of Mr. Popo when he's a kid and he has like his turban off and he just has the two
ears,
devil horns? Yeah. Have you seen him when he gets grown up again and he has the devil horns again? It looks so weird. I think he had it prior to Daima, obviously, but like it looks so wild. Like it just does not fit his character at all. I'm looking for like a good image of it, but I can't find it. I guess I'll just grab the little child one.
Yeah. I posted.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, adult Popo with the two horns.
Okay, after those two joke ones. Like in the first, like in original Dragon Ball, I don't think he cares. I think he's more underrated. Is Yamcha. At the beginning of the original Dragon Ball series.
Like when he's a villain? Or anti-hero, I should
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I can get behind that in
I think
Dragon
it's-
Ball specifically.
I know it's gonna be off topic,
He's-
but he doesn't really care. I think
Yeah,
he's
hey,
more
man.
of like,
Yamcha used to be fucking cool.
you
So-
know what? That
And
should
then
be
Toriyama's like, nah. He's a
that should be
bozo.
a
He's
thing.
a fraud.
Underrated characters.
Underrated characters next.
Add that to the list.
Add it to list. Add it to list. All right. I have one more character for today's show. Have you guys ever watched Promised Neverland?
No.
The first season, yes.
Okay, okay. So Logan might recognize this character. My boy Phil.
Bruh.
I love this little shit so much.
Bruh.
He does. I can't even remember. It's been so long since I've watched The Promised Neverland, but I recall him just being like insanely based the entire time. Like he was. I don't remember why.
He looks like he would be an arsonist later on in life.
he's terrible.
Like, you look at him, and I'm not gonna lie, when you first posted this picture, I looked at the number on his neck, and I'm like, when did bro get tattoos? But
I think
that's...
if I
that's
could
just-
be wrong, but I think he's the reason the main cast finds out about the owl, which is like the start of the mystery, essentially. I think.
Yeah.
And I don't recall. I haven't read all of Promised Neverland, so I don't know if he has any more significance past that. But I think for just that alone, in a series full of intrigue and mystery, that's got to be worth something, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's got to be. I just like Phil. Also, I just found this funny image of him, and I'm going to post it in the thing. I mean, just look at him, bro. If we're just talking like cuteness factor, bro, he's adorable.
He does have the ooh mouth.
I love him. I love Phil. He's awesome. He carries in terms of like, even when the show goes to shit. Like, just look at him. I love him. Just knowing that he exists out there in the world gives me hope.
I bet you when they gave everyone guns, he got the AK-47.
He got the AK. No, don't ruin my boy Phil.
What do you mean? I don't know. He seems like he would be a part of the cartel.
You guys ever
No.
see that video of I forgot
Of-
from what war it was. There's some guy, he just had like an RPG and he just like stood up as they're getting shots fired at him. He just stands in front of them with the RPG and just shoots it. You know what I'm
That would be
talking about? That's what Phil.
That'd probably be
I could
Phil,
imagine Phil. They're all getting shot at and he just walks out there. RPG.
yeah. No fucks given. For
Exactly.
sure. Whew. Today's been a long one. We had a lot to
Yeah.
say. This was a fun topic. It was just
Yeah, I
basically
like
the
this.
Glaze episode where we just glazed some of our
Glaze.
favorite characters for an hour and a half.
But it's not... They had to be not
Specific.
main
Yeah. They couldn't
Yeah.
be a part of the main crew. And honestly, as a writer, the side characters are kind of my favorite characters to write. They do. I mean, the main characters are the main characters for a reason, but there wouldn't be a story without the side characters. I think there's something to be said about that. I think we should appreciate our side characters more. We should appreciate Phil, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. We all need to appreciate Phil every now and then. Or all the time.
Every day. I'm gonna print this out and put it on my wall, I think.
Just make it
yeah.
your phone background
Yeah.
every time you open it.
This
Phil.
horribly zoomed in image of Phil.
Not the second one. I'm talking about the first one.
No, I'm talking about the second one.
Okay, well.
All right. If that's all we have to say, then I guess I can move into the indie recommend, no?
You can.
Yes.
Okay, voice, don't fail me now. Today's indie recommend is a one-shot. I know I've recommended a one-shot before, but that was also tagged along with a main series from a creator. This one is specifically just a one-shot, and what makes it even more interesting is, as far as I'm aware, this is the only work this person has. It's at least on Manga Plus Creators. This is their only published work. It is called Minami in the Night by Monotone Inc. God, I had to just that pause was me double checking to make sure I didn't fuck the name up.
Yeah, monotone, like, you know.
I'm going to now share the images with you guys so that you can see the kind of style this has.
Interesting.
Very Eve-esque, I think Logue might be picking up on.
Eve, and also reminds me of Studio System.
Yeah, it does got the
Like,
studio systemism
Did
to
the
it, for
person
sure.
that made Studio System read this? Like, this
I guess we didn't talk about studio system.
well, I mean,
that
I don't
wasn't much
really
to say,
think it's...
but
Yeah.
we'll discuss that at another point. Main thing is Minami in the Night. It is a short one. It's not a short one shot. It's like 70 pages or so, one shot. About a girl who wakes up in the middle of the night and realizes as the night progresses that the night's not ending. It's a very long night. And I mean, you see this cow on screen. Things kind of take a turn.
Mm-hmm.
This story, for full warning, is not for the faint of heart. There is some really rough subject matter towards the back end. So if you are sensitive towards stuff like... it sucks that I have to spoil it, but if you're sensitive towards suicide, if you struggle with depression and it's a hard topic for you to read about, I wouldn't necessarily hop into this one with full optimism. But I think in terms of a standalone story, the artwork is very fun and interesting, and every page turn is cool. Very Ghibli-esque as well. Just like in terms of like some of the designs and like there's not even designs, in terms of like the way the story presents itself, in terms of like a character just kind of exploring a world that they might not necessarily recognize. I think this is one that's worth a read. More so than some of our other ones, especially since it's a one shot. You know, it's not like you're committing to a full story. Go give Monotone Inc. some love. And I hope to see more from them.
Goodnight Poon Poon.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
got that
it's
same
really
vibe to it, right? Yep. For sure. Alright.
Is that all we have for today?
That's all we got for today. Again, this was a very fun episode to record, but I think we did a good job.
And next episode is.
Oh yeah, Jay,
yeah,
it's
next
your
episode.
host.
Or no,
right?
isn't it?
It's
It's the silent voice episode.
It would be the silent voice episode, but we do got to pick what we're doing.
yeah, we can pick another one.
Yeah.
Okay. Shonen Jump's Big Shiny Axe and how it influences the industry as a whole.
Ooh. That's gonna be one I have a lot to talk about, so that'll be interesting.
This kind of lean more towards like your bread and butter.
Yeah, I got it on the doc. That's gonna be I've got a lot to say about that one. I've got a lot to say. You're not wrong when you're saying it. That's my like bread and butter. I'm very torn about Shonen Jump and the way they conduct themselves in the industry and, you know, what they do for it. So that'll be one that I can't wait to discuss.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we got our next episode set. We got our topic covered. I think it's about time they have a good.
Yep.
Yep.
You guys have a great good. Have a great good.